in Dragon Ball. Now, my dad was always in my life when it came to Dragon Ball video games, Dragon Ball movies, Dragon Ball everything. Dragon Ball content, my dad was always there. So here's the thing about my dad and Dragon Ball. So it all started when I was a little kid and we all watched the Frieza saga growing up. Me, my older brother, and my dad was literally the basis of how I grew up in my childhood. It was so crazy. So my dad was known for being a very good basketball player, but he also loved Dragon Ball Z. So it was crazy. He was the best of both worlds, and literally, I could not get enough of how much my dad was infatuated with Dragon Ball Z. So it all started when Tenkaichi came out. And Tenkaichi came out, and my dad was astonishing. My dad was a beast. But before we had Tenkaichi, we started watching movie after movie after movie after movie with me and my stepmother named Helen. And it was so fucking cool because when I watched the movies, it was nothing but hype. As I stated in my last video, when you understand the references a cartoon or a piece of fiction is making, it makes you a little bit more appreciative of what it resembles and what it stands for. Like when me, my brothers, and everybody watched The Fusion Reborn, there was this one guy who literally was like, "Oh, I didn't get it because I was a little kid," and the Nazis showed up and Hitler was like this, and so it was so fucking crazy because he was yelling like, "Oh!" I'm like, what's so funny? And then I realized that they were referencing Adolf Hitler later when I grew up as an adult. I'm like, oh, that is hella funny. So it's really, really cool. So one of my favorite moments of my dad is watching BoJack Unbound. That was literally one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z movies ever. And my dad was obsessed with karate films. He was obsessed with Jet Li. All we did was watch old films with Jet Li and Dragon Ball Z back to back. So my dad is a heavy martial artist. My dad is heavy on everything. So it was so fucking crazy. I'll even watch reruns of Dragon Ball GT. And me and my dad would go back and forth. Kamehameha. And my dad would be like, Kamehameha. It was so crazy. Literally, so there was this one time where I was watching Baby Vegeta beat the living shit out of Goku. And so literally, my dad goes, Kamehameha. And so I'm like, Kamehameha times 10. And my dad's like, he got caught off guard by Gohan. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy because of what was going on and everything. It was so fucking crazy. I had no idea that my dad was that passionate for Dragon Ball Z. And it got down to a point where Tenkaichi came up, my dad tore shit up, man. So every time, like, I was the best player in the house, and so my dad was literally, he was all joystick, so he was all hands. My dad didn't know how to do any specials, and he still beat me and my older brother. And it was so fucking crazy. Like, every single time, literally, he would literally just throw me out there. He would literally rush towards me. Every time I rushed, he's like, "Oh no, you're not getting more hits. You're not getting more hits." And he would literally race the analog stick. I'm like, how the fuck is my dad faster than me? I'm a little kid, and my dad was literally surpassing me. When it came to the joint dash where we both did hand-to-hand combat, my dad was so fucking crazy with the sticks. And you're gonna get more hits. You're gonna get more hits. It was fucking crazy. My dad was super fucking funny. Like, you know how they have the intros when they're about to fight? You know how they have the introductions when they're about to fight? You know how Gogeta's like, "I am not a Goku nor Vegeta." My dad was like, "I don't give a fuck who you are." No, but seriously, my dad's main was Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And literally, it was so fucking funny. Like, Tenkaichi came out, then Tenkaichi 2 came out, and he's like, "Where's my guy?" I'm like, "Dad, we don't have him yet. We have to read the storyboard." I'm like, "Okay, come back when you get my guy." It's so fucking crazy. But my dad is a fucking maniac when it comes to Dragon Ball Z games. He's fucking outstanding when it comes to that because literally, I taught him how to do a special one time. I taught my dad how to do a special one time with Frieza, and it was so fucking crazy. My dad chose 100% Frieza when he's hella buff, and he started fucking my older brother up, literally doing this and that. He's like, hold on. Frieza's a motherfucking beast. My dad literally was throwing hands, and then he did the destructo disc, and he fucked my brother up. Like, hold on. But in all seriousness, my dad was super, super baby where it came to skills, but also he was heavy on martial arts. He loved Jet Li movie. He watched every single Jet Li movie. I stated a couple videos earlier that he watched this one movie that really taught me a whole lot about life. When one, I think it was the same movie, when Jet Li literally donated his blood after losing a fight. It might have been the same movie. It might be two different movies, but literally, what happened was this. Jet Li fought this big ass white guy wearing a mohawk, and so he went to the infirmary, and so he's like, "How dare you disgrace our heritage? You only won because you were Japanese, but I could beat you within a second." It was so fucking crazy because it really taught me a whole lot about life. Like, it taught me the advantage I have, not only being African American, but coming from the edge where I came from. It told me never to get cocky because, like, somebody else who likes anime and rap could flow twice as better as me. You could punch sign just as better as me. He can have just as good wordplay, and that's why I learned how to work out. That's why I learned how to compete. When you truly know you have the edge in life, you can't let that be everything. You have to literally compete with people who can do the same thing, and that's how you know you're regional. You don't literally pick on little hamsters in the room knowing that you're a snake. No. And my dad taught me a whole lot about life when he tried to show me Dragon Ball Z, and it was so crazy. So one of the best moments for my dad was literally when we were running low on DBZ movies, because we watched The Fusion Reborn before we watched it in order. So when we watched The Fusion Reborn, my brother was all like, "Oh man, you made us drive all the way out to Blockbuster to get that movie." That shit was only an hour long. So I'm like, you know what? I was playing the Tenkaichi games, and out of nowhere, I was thinking like, we haven't watched Broly yet. And so literally, so I go back and I go check with Broly, and literally, it is one of the most outstanding Dragon Ball films that has ever been created. And so my dad was all like, "Ooh, ooh, 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 ooh." He's like, "Great movie, man." Like, literally, and my dad was so outstanding where it came to Dragon Ball Z. It was so fucking great. And that's why I love what my dad did for me. I love the insight, the perspective he gave me from watching those Jet Li movies, especially the one where he lost to a friend when he was young and then he came back when he was older. My dad was all about martial arts and DBZ. So literally, there was this time, and I figured out that he was crazy. So even though he was the runner of a basketball league, his Gmail was BML Dragon. And my dad was a beast. And I love that experience. I love my dad, and that is why this is my dad in Dragon Ball.